Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today we are starting what month is it? April. The April 2024, almost a 2023 book club pick, which is The Familiar. This is probably the scariest book we've picked for our book club as of yet. Very scary. Very, very, very scary. But like, because it's Leigh Bardugo. Love Leigh Bardugo books, except I actually really didn't love Shadow and Bone that much. Loved Six of Crows. Loved the second book in the Six of Crows series, Crooked Kingdom. Ninth House and Hellbent are two of my favorite books, like, ever. Obsessed with them. But this is a historical fiction fantasy, which is, like, terrifying. This is significantly different than stuff that she's written in the past, so it is very, very nerve-wracking. But everybody wants to read it. It is out there. Everybody's excited about it. So I figured it was a really good book club pick, and you guys definitely wanted to read this one. So basically this one, as far as I know, of course the air conditioning turns right on, as far as I know, is following our main character, who is like a maid in a household, and she's got some magical abilities. This takes place during the Spanish Inquisition, and there's some people with like magic, and the Spanish Inquisition is trying to root out the bad stuff going on. Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna get spat right into that Spanish Inquisition era, and we're following some people who are probably trying to hide from the Spanish Inquisition. And I know there's like court intrigue, there is fantasy elements to it, so there's magic, but other than that, that's pretty much all that I know about this. I don't even really know like what it means by the familiar. Like, I've been trying to work that out and what the scorpion will mean, and it's just an interesting cover. It's definitely like if you take the scorpion out and you take like, actually if you just take the scorpion out, it just looks like one of those like King Henry VIII cover type things going on. That's where you feel like you're going. So I'm curious how the fantasy is going to be woven in here and just what this book is really going to be about. So I'm very excited. We're going to jump right into it. So I hope you guys enjoy this book. And stay tuned. This is where all the full spoilers start. I feel like I explain this every time. But if you have not read a book for the Lazy Book Club or haven't watched a video yet, this is basically, we don't do lives. We don't do lives here yet. That is something I do plan to eventually maybe have in the future, if I ever set up like a Patreon. Just a way to do a book club, but in a lazier manner. So you can read the book now, you can read the book a year from now, you can read a book, I was gonna say in the past, but it literally makes it, well, yeah, you could have read the book a year ago if it wasn't a brand new release, and then you can comment on the video. So basically read the book whenever you want to and come back and watch the video. But we're going into full spoilers starting right now. This is your last warning. Full spoilers. If you watch anything from this point on, there will be no hints that they're spoilers because everything is a spoiler. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss next month's Lazy Book Club and other future unboxings and content, etc. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Okay. It is first thing, what day is it? 24th? I think it's the 24th. But I just read about a chapter last night. I did switch it into my Illumicrate dust jacket because I don't like to touch white or black dust jackets or covers because my greasy little fingers will leave fingerprints on them and it drives me nuts. So any type of white cover or black cover I don't like to hold. And the hardback is also black, and nope. So I put it in this to make sure I don't get it all nasty. And it's just also like squishy. I can put this in my purse and have it with me all the time. So I love that. And yeah, if you, oh yeah, I don't, you know, The Familiar. Starting The Familiar. I didn't even think about it not having the actual cover on it. But I read a chapter last night. I really wanted to like read the first chapter and kind of let it sink in because this is going to be a very different type of book than what I normally read. My dog was very angry I wasn't letting him on the couch. Very angry. He hates it. He hates if you're sitting on something and he's also not sitting on it. Like even chairs that are too small for him, except for like dining room table chairs. Doesn't faze him whatsoever. But if it's in the living room, if it looks like a soft chair, he wants in it. Anyway, like I said, I really wanted to read the very first chapter and kind of let it sink in. It's gonna be very different than what I normally read, but I'm okay with reading it because it's Leigh Bardugo, and I really loved Ninth House and Six of Crows, and I'm still in the middle of, oh, what is it? Rule of Wolves. That's the final one. I still have not finished it yet because I didn't really like where the plot line went after King of Crows. Like, I think I still gave King of Crows like a 4.5, but I really did not like where the book was headed. But I generally liked it because I just thought it was really good. But Rule of Rules have taken me a really long time, and I think I've only read like 2 chapters of it. So yeah, The Familiar. I am very optimistic, like very, very optimistic, because I already love how the first chapter introduced everything. Like, it was really a really interesting way to introduce our main character, almost as if they're not the main character, and then kind of switching into that role as a main character, because we started on the headmistress of like the household and kind of went through her story, and it was like, huh, and then it slowly switched over to Lucia. I really did like the first chapter. The fact that we've already been introduced to the magic this early is really good, because that means we have time to kind of explain the magic system and how it works, because it's a little bit confusing in the beginning, because it seems like the magic is definitely like familial magic, like it goes through family lines. I'm not exactly sure the origin yet. I'm sure we're gonna get into that, because the first chapter was only like 5 pages or something like that, and it already introduced so many things. So of course we introduced with, like I said, the headmistress, who has an unloving husband, and she came down to the kitchen to bother the cook, who is, we had so much stuff in the first chapter, who is upset because her son is in love with like some sort of, was it a playwright? I don't remember if it was a playwright or not, but it's some sort of playwright or someone in the theater. And so she wasn't in there, and the headmistress of the household saw the burnt bread, and then later, like 10 minutes later, saw that the bread wasn't burnt anymore. And that's when it kind of switches over to Lucia's point of view, where she's talking about how this circumstances, this, I love the opening of, if this hadn't happened, if this hadn't happened, if this hadn't happened, everything would have been okay. And it was like, it's like butterfly effect stuff. It is so cool. I loved that. And Lucia goes through the fact that, oh yeah, I was burned, but she used a little bit of her magic that she's been using on the bread. And I like that we already kind of got a rule, like you can't make yourself rich. So I thought that was interesting. We already kind of threw that in there. So right now the magic is a little bit loosey-goosey, but I'm sure that'll kind of concrete as we go on, because it doesn't seem like many people know about magic besides the family. So we basically have Lucia, and we have the cook, and we have the headmistress, and the headmistress's interests have been piqued. So yeah, and it ended the chapter saying like, it's better to be scorned by the mistress than have her interest. So it's like, where is this going? Where's this going? I'm so excited. So yeah, I love the writing already. The writing is very engaging. It's already really good in the first chapter. Does that mean I'll like the rest of the book? No, this could get a 1. This could get a 1, but I appreciate the writing style already, and it's not, I thought it was gonna be more dense. Like I thought Leigh Bardugo might go for a denser kind of writing style because of the genre, but it is not the case, at least so far. Actually on chapter 19, I'm actually at page 122, because that last chapter was actually pretty long. I have some feelings about this so far. I don't have that many though. I really don't have that many opinions on it, because so far I think it's quite boring. So the part that I just stopped at is, I'm going to absolutely butcher these names. I did actually switch to audiobook. I was so bored physically reading it, I was having a hard time picking it up. So I switched to audiobook so I can listen to it while I play on my Switch. And it's actually been working pretty well. I play on my Switch, or I have a little like coloring book app on my phone that I'll play with. And that has helped significantly get through a chunk of this book. And the audiobook is actually really good. So happy with the audiobook. I just got to the section where Lucia just basically chopped a man in half. And I was like, we're finally getting somewhere. So it's just depressing. Like it's so depressing, because our main character Lucia is a scullion maid, and she works for this terrible woman who you sometimes feel bad for, which I hate feeling bad for her, but then she does something else and you don't feel bad for her anymore. But it's just circumstance after circumstance that sucks. So I'm really waiting to get to the point where we enter this like competition. My dog, who I left on the couch, has now come to the room and is outside of the door, the closed door, and he's about to start barking. He cannot stand closed doors. So anyway, I'm really excited because there's supposed to be some sort of competition for like the king's champion or the holy champion or something like that. So they're trying to train her to become this holy champion. I'm trying to like get my thoughts straight because there's so much happening. So main character Lucia showed a miracle or got caught doing a miracle by the owner of the house or the lady of the house, and she has been showing her off, and that has kind of gone around town. And then her aunt, I don't know exactly what the relationship is. I feel like I missed that. Her aunt or whatever, she calls her Juanita. She is the mistress of this very prominent, super, super rich man in town. He gets wind of everything going on, and they kind of orchestrate this thing where she's now in front of him and she shows him her miracle, her talent, and it's all, again, I hope we go through more of the magic system, but the magic system seems to be completely rooted in religiousness. I don't know what else to call it, but her family is Hebrew and they have to hide their Jewish descent because this is like the Spanish Inquisition time period and it's a mess. So she kind of like usually sings to do her magic, but she's been hiding it. And so she finally does her magic in front of this guy, Juanita's suitor or guy that she's mistress to. This is a great explanation. Assigns his servant to be her teacher, and we learn that it's, how'd they say it? I was saying it wrong the whole time in my head. Sanhanel. Clearly probably going to be a romance. I don't know if he's like some sort of weird vampire or something, but he is seems to be an ancient, some sort of magic user, and he's tied to his master's family, and we don't know exactly why or how or what his magic is, etc. We don't know too much about him other than that he, like, at first I was picturing like grandpa, which is not good because he's slowly getting more and more handsome and coming back to life. So I'm assuming he's like, and she says it multiple times that he's younger, but I cannot picture him as anything. It's better now as like an old man, but that did change in the recent chapter because he's the one teaching her. And I like the little montages of him teaching her. And he, what is it? I can't remember there's so many people in this book. The master gets upset because she's not progressing as much and he's getting nervous the closer they get to these trials. And the other girl in these trials can like see visions and they're accurate. So the master's like upset that this is going to be his champion and he's going to be humiliated. So he kind of like attacks San Angel, and has his fingers broken, and that's when Lucia loses her shit and obliterates the guy breaking Sananel's fingers. And I was like, holy crap. People really don't talk about Harry Potter much, but what is it called where they like transport from one place to another? That's all I could think about, the splicing, like when they splice and because they do it wrong. That's all I could think about because he literally sliced him in half. And I love the fact that the other half of him went to like an office and freaked them out. Yeah, I am highly intrigued about that, but I liked seeing them be upset for each other. It still doesn't feel romantic, but the way that he's now acting and is being described, he does seem younger now, because again, I feel like this is gonna be the romance. So yeah, I am enjoying it now because of that section I just read. I was ready to come on here and be like, I don't like this. I'm so bored. I need something to happen. And thank God I just continued past the 100 pages and something actually happened. So I am cautiously optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm hoping it's just super slow. And then once we get to like, because we're gonna have to go to court. Once we get to court, that's when I'm hoping I'll start getting a lot more interested in the book and the actual like competition. And I need to feel more investment into the story. That's what I don't have right now. I don't feel invested too much into the characters yet, and I feel like I should 122 pages in. So I definitely know it's the setting and the subject that is what is keeping me from really getting invested, because I don't like historical fiction, but I'm trying. I'm trying, and hopefully we will get there. I'm gonna go back and listen to the audiobook because I am intrigued about where we're going next with the book. And I'm just kind of hoping it continues to build from here instead of like we've hit a peak and it just goes back down and gets boring again for another 100 pages. So I can't just have one thing happen every 100 pages. That would suck. Okay, next 100 pages went by pretty fast. I just started chapter 33, so I'm on page 218. I don't know. I'm so confused about this book. I also wish I had more of like a change in scenery throughout this video, but I'm feeling I'm probably gonna read the whole book tonight, potentially. I don't know, it just depends how much longer I have left in it. So probably my very last clip where I go over stuff will be tomorrow morning. I will definitely finish this tomorrow, but it's like 8 o'clock. I probably won't finish it tonight. I don't know. Just depends, because this last 100 pages went significantly faster for me than the first 100 pages. I liked it a lot better. I still don't feel like anything's really happening. I'm not sure at this point, like, what the point of the book is. Is it the romance? Like, is the point... Well, okay. I get the point of the book is, like, Spanish Inquisition was an absolute mess. Like, the religious persecution from the Spanish Inquisition was insane. But besides that, because it definitely feels like a really important aspect, obviously, because she has Jewish heritage, and it is, like, basically a death sentence if anyone finds out about it. And I get, like, all of that, but is there... I don't know. Like, I feel like there's no real plot. Like, there's no real backstory. There's no real plot. There's nothing really... I don't know, I just feel like I'm existing in a random part of history. And I feel like maybe that's why I don't like historical fiction a lot of times, is I feel like you kind of just get dropped in the middle of a historical event happening, and you kind of just have to, like, piece stuff together and just be like, okay, I'm along for the ride. And I don't know, like, I want more backstory, I want more... Like, I don't know. I feel like I should know more about the characters at this point, and I don't know anything about the main character or the guy, Sen and Hel, besides that he is a familiar, which I actually thought was really cool. I was wondering when the title of the book would come into play here. But basically these last 100 pages are them finally going to court, which I do like better. I do like better now that we're actually at court. But other than that, it's kind of just hanging out at court, her meeting the other people. We've kind of introduced somebody that San and Hel can be jealous over, which is kind of fun, but I don't know, I'm not connecting with the characters. Like, I'm enjoying my time, but I'm not super connecting to the characters. And I don't know if it's because Lucia is just, she feels like a blank shell. Like, I feel like she doesn't have much personality besides what people are trying to tell her, which is, like, the point. Like, it literally says in here that she learned to disappear. She learned to not make a fuss, not to exist, basically. But I feel like that's not great when you're reading the book because I just don't have an opinion about her. And because she has almost no personality except for these random, like, sparks of, like, resentment or anger, there's just nothing to really connect with or grasp besides her heritage. I feel like I don't know her as a character still after 220 pages. I feel lost. I feel like I would really love this relationship if I liked the main character more. I just feel so meh about the main character. Okay, I just got back from a Wegmans / Petco trip because I forgot. I've had my dog's food on Chewy auto ship for like 6 years, and when we moved to the temporary house, obviously we like shut all that stuff down, and I didn't realize, but like we got to the bottom of this food and I was like, we don't have any more food for him. So I had to run out first thing this morning to Petco and pick up a new bag of food for him, so he'll be really excited when I go inside. I am at the end of chapter 45. I don't know what page I am because I'm listening to the audiobook and I listened to a lot of it while I was shopping and stuff. I'm liking it a lot better now. I feel like stuff is finally happening. Is it great that it's happening in like the last 100 pages? No. I wish the rest of the book had like way more stuff going on. And it's also wild that my favorite parts aren't even related really to Lucia. It's Valentina. Valentina is turning out to be like the most interesting character in this book, which I was not expecting. Which is interesting because the book opened with her and we're getting more of her story. I'm loving her change of character and her like demanding to go see Lucia to go help her. And I really wish she had more moments at Perez's place between Lucia and Valentina, because there definitely were. There were moments where they would talk and they finally seemed like they were understanding each other. But I needed I needed more of that. I feel like the story should have not been a romance, but it should have been about Valentina and Lucia. And really the main character is Valentina. She is the most interesting character, I feel like, in the story. As well as Hwalit. Hwalit's death, oh my gosh. I kind of saw it coming because when she was talking about escaping, I was like, there's no way. There's no way you actually get away. But like the way that it was written was, it was good. And I still don't know if I like her. I love the side characters and how I feel like the female characters, side characters in the story are the most interesting. Hwalit, and she goes on this monologue about how she couldn't handle the idea of taking care of Lucia, which is why Lucia basically ended up in a terrible situation that she's in, because Hwalit really should have taken her in. But she admitted that she couldn't do it. And so like you hate her, but you understand at the same time, because some people aren't cut out to be parents and never wanted that. So to have it thrust upon them is like, how do I deal with that? And she was already in a situation with her patron. And so if she had brought this girl in, it just would have caused all these issues for her. So at one point you like hate her, and at the other point you're like, I can get it, but I also still hate you for not taking her in and giving her like a loving home. It's just like a lot. And again, her death was crazy. I love that she took one of them with her. I'm really sad that Marius didn't turn out to be a better person. There was a moment where him and his wife were finally like kind of getting along at the palace when everything was going easy. That's the key. She literally just talks about how Marius likes everything easy. I love that she told the Spanish Inquisition guy, like, he's lazy. He literally, and they let her go home. And I was like, that's peak. That's peak. That's perfection. And it probably got him released too. Her straight up just saying he's a lazy coward is probably what got him released. So I'm just sad that when he refused to give Lucia his horse, I was really sad about that. I was really hoping that he had kind of turned a corner and it would give Valentina like the happy ever after that she really wanted, and now kind of deserves. Like, she definitely has, her character has changed significantly. But I'm curious if she will sink back into that hate because she'll become miserable again. So I wonder if she'll start abusing the cook again. So I don't know. Her character is just so interesting, and I wish the story was about her. That's kind of where I'm at. So Marius and Valentina are back home. Lucia is currently in a cell with the Holy Child, who I really like, and someone else. I don't remember who. It was a random person is in there. So that's where we're out. Have no idea where Saint Angel has gone. I knew that stupid kid, Fortune. I knew it. I knew he was evil. Everyone warned her, but I get like where she was coming from, because everyone was also warning her about Saint Angel. So drama. I like that what that happened on the dock though with Fortune. I thought that was pretty cool, where she like did this and he used her, and then she turned all of his stuff into bugs. I thought that was pretty good too. I feel like I'm liking it. This book, I feel like how it ends is gonna determine how I really like give it a rating, because it's still like a 3.5. I am enjoying it more, but it really just depends where we go from here. You actually can't tell. I thought you'd be able to tell. I've been crying. I just finished the book like 20 seconds ago. Like 20 seconds ago I finished this book. It really kicked up at the end. It wrapped up so well, and I feel like it explained a lot of stuff that I was waiting to have explained. I still don't know the extent of Lucia's magic, which is probably the thing that like bothers me the most. Like, what actually like is she? Like, I'm a little confused about what she is, who she is. So I do wish that her magic had been explained a little bit more. Like what can she actually do? Because how the book ended, which I thought it was like a jump scare at the end suddenly. When Saint Angel, when the sun came up and he burned to ash, I was like, they did not just escape at the end for him to die. Are you kidding me? And then she brought him to life. And I'm like, so what is the extent of her magic? And they say that they didn't age, they don't grow old, etc. So like, what is her magic? Like, what is she? I feel like that was the biggest thing left unanswered. And part of me like really, really wants to know. And then part of me is kind of like, it's kind of nice not knowing, because we don't actually know what San Angel like really is either. He's just an immortal. We don't know what magic he has. We don't know what power he has, because he does have some. So I feel like it's interesting that both of them kind of walked off into the sunset as a mystery together. So that kind of worked pretty well, but I still like, I want to know what she is. And again, I'm going to reiterate the fact that Valentina was the best character in this story. The fact that she left her husband at first, and shacked up with a female playwright, I was screaming. I loved it. It was so out of character, and I love that she was crying at Lucia's funeral, or not funeral, but at Lucia's death sentence, and her character just like became everything. Again, I wish there was more of that in the center of the story between her and Lucia. Like, there was a couple things, but I wish there was more of a progression. We learned more about them instead of her and San Angel having a lot more screen time. I wanted more. I keep wanting to call her Victoria, and then I forget what her name is. I wanted more time between the two of them. And then the fact that she goes home to her house and basically tells Marius to like screw off and invites her mistress into the house, and they throw like artist parties. Valentina. Valentina, the real MVP of this story. I do love how it ended. I love that Lucia was able to save them and they were able to restart their life. And I love the fact that they saved the pirate, the naked ass pirate, and he just runs off. That was cracking me up. I loved the end of this story. The end of the story and how it wrapped up is a 5-star. I loved how it wrapped up because I had such a problem with the middle of the book. And I do think that our main character really was Valentina instead of Lucia or San Angel. It's gonna get a 4. But 4 is really good for where I was standing with this originally. So I will 1000% take a 4. Would I reread this book? No. I would not reread this. But I think this is a good addition to the Leigh Bardugo repertoire. I think it's an interesting, different take on her writing, because the writing is really, really good. It was just definitely, a lot of people complained about Ninth House being really, really slow. And for me, it wasn't. This is the definition of slow. And then I feel like there wasn't really that much of a plot. Like I said, it just feels like you're dropped into a time point in history and you're following some characters that already existed in history, and it wouldn't matter if you were there watching or not. And part of it is really cool in that way, but part of it just kind of leaves you as like an outside observer. It felt it was really hard to really connect with any of the characters. And I still feel that way. I still feel like an outside observer of things that were happening, and I wish I had felt more of a connection with the characters, because I could care less about the romance, to be honest. I mean, I'm glad they got the happily ever after, because I don't want to read books that are sad. Or at least like they could have ended it like I want a happily ever after at least for years. Like it could have said in 50 years they passed away or something like that, and I would have been okay with that. But I read to be happy, and especially with like chronic illness and stuff, I just don't want to be reminded of sad things. So I was so happy there was a happily ever after, or an HEA, which is what I found out that meant. Someone wrote an HEA on something, and I was like, what does HEA mean? But no, apparently HEA means happily ever after. This has a happily ever after. And again, Valentina. So yeah, I think that's all that I have to talk about. I feel like I covered mostly everything. I love that they had kind of, that the last chapter was basically like, this is where this person is. This is where, I loved that. It felt like the end of like a 10-season long show where they tell you like, and this person ended up doing this after the show, and this person ended up doing this. So I love that Fortune's powers came from that stupid amulet, and she had figured it out and broke it, and now that's a mess. I love that Victor ended up being too scared to like leave his house and was miserable the rest of his life because he caused so many problems. I love that. And then I love that it ended with Lucia and San Angel and how it would work, because that's my thing, is he's still, and there was a son, so it's like continuing. So he dies every morning and she can resurrect him. That's wild. That's wild. But if it works for them, it works for them. I mean, okay. Okay. So I do love that it sneakily solved San Angel's problem the whole book without you knowing, because you don't know Lucia's powers until the end, because she doesn't really know her powers until we get to the end. So yeah, I think it was really good. I don't think the book ever lost its way, but I do think it wanted to be really slow. If I had not gotten the audiobook, I would have been hard pressed to continue the book. But I'm so happy I did. I'm so happy I read this, because I think the ending just like wrapped everything up so well. It wrapped up like everything. I think, like I said, 5-star ending, 3-star kind of rest of the book. So I am gonna go with a 4-star, and I think that's a good rating. So I hope you guys liked it, or at least got something out of it. I thought it was actually pretty interesting to read about the Spanish Inquisition from the perspective of a hidden Jewish person, because I feel like a lot of the Spanish Inquisition stuff that I've read is because I read a lot of King Henry VIII, Elizabeth I, all that kind of stuff. That's my period of history that I really like, but on the English side of things and like some Protestant side of things. So I've never read the Spanish Inquisition from in Spain and in like from a Jewish perspective. So I thought that was really, really interesting and different than what I normally read. And I think that's why I was doing better with this historical fiction than normal historical fiction, because it is in that time period niche that I do like. So yeah, 4-star. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I definitely have some questions for you guys. Who do you think the main character of this book was? Because like I said, Valentina was awesome. Kind of, what do you think about the end, about Lucia bringing San Angel like back to life every day? And also, what do you think about the romance? Because again, I wasn't super convinced with the romance, but I also don't think it was the point of the book, which I think is gonna make some people not like it. But it really was just kind of like a side thing of the book. Like, it really wasn't that important. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys thought about it, your star rating, maybe what you would have liked like differently done in this book, your favorite characters, your least favorite characters, favorite plot point, all the normal stuff that I love hearing about. And yeah, that's all I have for you today. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future content. Our next book club book is for May, and it is a Fate Inked in Blood, which is somewhere in the 10th house. I don't know where I put it, but that is May's book, and it is fantasy romance, and I've heard from quite a few subscribers that it is spicy, which is not something we normally read for our book club. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be real interesting. I'm glad there wasn't a lot of spice in this. There was like the tiniest amount, and it worked with the rest of the plot. I thought that was really good. I didn't feel like it had gratuitous sex scenes in it that a lot of books seems to have now. So I enjoyed that as well. So anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the book, or again, at least got something out of it. And I will see you guys in the next one.